got a little adjustment I got to do on this. I'm not sure why that is looking like this. Let me adjust this a little bit for you guys. I am slacking this morning. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to be talking about something, and I know that the title probably frustrated some people. I want to explain what I'm going to do. I know this can be a politically charged topic, and we're going to talk about that. I'm just going to ask you guys to do me a favor. I don't care what your political standpoint, view, position, any of that crap is. I don't care. What I want to do is I want to give you guys the tools and the resources and talk about some of the precedent. This is why the name of the item is Precedent or Precedent. Why are we doing this? Well, we're going to look at these items. I'm going to give you the information. I'm not going to give you my hyperbole. I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm going to tell you what we see. We can chit-chat about it, and then you guys can make up your own minds. I put a poll in chat. I want to know what you guys think the legal precedent is that states that this is illegal. And again, we'll just talk simply about what the elements are. I don't want to get into a massive political debate. If it goes that way, I will ask you guys to please stop. If it becomes threatening and things of that nature, I'll do one of two things. I'll either end the stream or I'll boot the people. If it becomes heated on both sides, I'll just end the stream. I do not want this to become a politically charged discussion. I want this to become a legality discussion. I want this to be talked about from both sides of the fence. And folks, I've got stuff here that is going to talk about how this has been done unilaterally across our entire nation. Doesn't matter the political party, doesn't matter the race, creed, sex, or religion. It has been done on both sides. We're going to talk about that. We're going to show why it's not precedent, it's precedent. And it's happened before, and we're just going to give you the information. But please, this is not a politically charged discussion. You want to make it so, but do so elsewhere. Please. Okay? Now, with that, I get to welcome my buddies, the ones that are here all the time. They support me, they help me, and they drive me just as nuts as my wife. Paula and Eric, how you doing? What's going on?
Good morning.
Good morning. Let me tell you guys something funny. You guys are lucky that we ever go live, period. Because he has a problem shutting me and Eric up before it's time to go live.
What I need to do is I just need to, if the conversation's clean, I just one day need to go live. And you guys, I'm telling you, I just need to hit record one day. I just record the conversation because we have some really weird discussions. We go from,
you never know what
yeah, we go from like poop coins to what Paul is arguing with because there's somebody who says that the in COD we trust is going to make them a millionaire. Anyway, let's not get into that one because that's for another day.
I know. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday.
So
Yes.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to put a 1 in chat if you even know why you're here. What is it you want to hear? Do you know? If you have an idea of what you want to say, look, do me a favor. Just assess it. Acknowledge it. Put a 1 in chat. That tells me that you're thinking about that. That's all I care about. So I want to go through and ask one question. First off to my host, first off to my guests. So Paul and Eric, and Eric, you can use the phrase that I showed on the coin if you want to. What is your opinion of this? Bottom line up front. What's the opinion?
My personal opinion?
Indeed.
Can I use the language that I usually use?
Just end the UCK and then, yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, people have way too many F's to give.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And so again, that's one of those things. This is an opinion piece, folks. Okay. This is all this is. Not meant to be politically charged. It's just meant to give you the information. all of us are on the same page. This is the conversation we're going to have. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a poll. Okay, this poll is there on the screen for you. You can go to chat, click on it. I would like more people to put some information in here. And just tell me what you think. There is no right, there is no wrong answer, because again, we're not going to argue about it. I'm just going to provide you the information and we can have the discussion. So let's pull this up. And for some reason, I see other screen. There it is. Okay. I couldn't see my chat. My virgin ears. Yeah, Frank. Okay. He was in the
Right.
Navy. We know better than that. All right. So let's pull this up. So the first thing that I want to do is in the poll, I asked which one of these bills or CFRs, the Code of Federal Regulations, if you don't know what a CFR is, a lot of people say that isn't a law. It is the law, just in case anybody wondered. This is where all the laws and stuff come from. So the first one was 18 U.S. Code 471. So instead of really going over what this is, we're going to pull this up here and we're going to ask the question. You can see I have everything queued up and ready to go. This is politics. Just be aware, right? We're going to be talking about that, but we're going to give some
political.
other. It's not political, right? So we're going to do this. I've marked it as such so people understand when we get there. This is a political topic, but we are not going there. So what is the whole topic for today? If the thumbnail and the clue of President or Precedent didn't tip you off, that red arrow is pointing to a signature line for a $100 bill. Now, there's a potential that it's going to go on more. They're going to discuss this. But there's been a bill passed that they are putting President Trump's name on the $100 bill. And a lot of people are up in arms right now because it's like you are absolutely not going to be able to put his picture on the bill. You just can't do it. So the reviewers, and again, we're going to be showing you law, we're going to be showing you the bills, we're going to be showing you the CFRs, we're going to be talking about this stuff and showing you why people on both sides are saying what they are. But I'm going to give you the information and let you know. All right, so one of these 18 U.S. Code 471s, the obligations or securities of the United States. Whoever with intent to defraud, falsely alleges, forges, counterfeits, or other obligations to the security of the United States shall be fined under imprisonment. I don't understand why people believe this is the thing that is the no. I don't even know where this comes from. It has nothing to do with anything. This is in line with something called the Hobby Protection Act, the law of 2004 that protects against counterfeits. That line has nothing to do with this process at all. I'm not sure how people come up with this. I'm not sure where this comes from.
Well, they told two friends, and they told two friends.
Yeah, it was probably
and
Instagram
so on,
or something.
and so on.
So this is clearly known what's going on. Now we click over here and we click on the notes. Well, guess what? We get to see what's going on and see any additional amendments that were made. This is why I like this particular resource. Now, a lot of people are like, well, Cornell leans right. Cornell leans law. I don't care. Cornell leans law. Their job, their goal is to teach people how to be the best attorneys, and they have an amazing legal department. It's a very well-structured site. It's a great way and a great place to find information. If you really want to get to the crux of things, go to some of the sources. My source for these types of things is the Cornell website. It's very nicely done. All of their links almost always work. It gives me a good summation, and it leads me to the sources, like the genuine source documents. We'll talk about some of those because when I go to this next one, this is a source document that puts in, but again, like I said, all of the associated pages, the links, everything talking about this subsection that you would need in order to understand this topic is listed below. So if you want to understand these things, let's go to these items. This is why I'm showing you these particular ones. A list of all of these items is going to be provided to you in the description down below. Unfortunately, I had to continue doing this because I was up till about 1 o'clock this morning researching and looking at this stuff, trying to make sure that I had not missed anything. Now, is this a 100% inclusive, absolute, every document that exists that may or may not? Hell no. I don't have enough time in the year to generate that kind of construct. But this gives you the general basis of all of this, okay? So I want you just to make sure that they're. Congressional laws are much like the UCMJ. However, the UCMJ is the only binding document for the United States military that foregoes double jeopardy. You can be busted for something in the military, and then once you've served your time and you get out, you can then be charged in the civilian sector. So if you're military and you're doing something stupid, don't, because that can be really, really bad for you.
Become really good friends with your first shirt.
Indeed, yeah. Or your staff sergeants, or your commandant, or, yeah, whatever. Don't become too close with your commandant's daughter. You guys remember Star Trek?
No, I never watched Star Trek.
Okay, so in Star Trek, there's a Scotty, right, the engineering guy, and he got sent to this remote Arctic, desolate outpost because he had a prized beagle and he tried to transport it and it never came back. So anyway, it's my mind goes all over. Yeah. Anyway, fun discussion. So okay, let's look at this one. So this one is again, we'll go up here: engraving and printing, currency, and documents. So what is this? How many people in chat know what the BEP is? Okay, if you know what the BEP is, write it down, put it in chat. Okay. My age is showing, Luther says. Oh, you more than you know, brother. More than
man,
you know.
now we're getting into age stuff.
Yeah. Well, hey, by the way, I wanted to check how was Moses in high school?
Oh my god! Yeah, the only Star Trek one I watched was those little furry balls that, like, I don't even know what they were, but they were dangerous little furry balls.
Oh, what were those called?
The
I don't know.
Furbies.
That was the only one I remember.
The Furbies.
Now
Was
you
that what
guys
they
know
were,
what
Furbies?
happens. Before we go on, this is what happened.
Yeah, oh, so yeah, squirrel, left turn. Thus is our Sunday morning conversations. And I said, like I said, we're gonna chit chat. We're gonna be talking about the topic, but this is
give me something to pray about at church.
This is not cereals. Trivels.
Tribbles, that's it.
There you go. Or tribbles. Yeah, there you go. Tribbles.
Tribbles, yeah.
So we have about a 14-second delay, by the way. So if you were Frosty taught Keith Richards in grade school,
ouch.
That
now that
hey, I look damn good for my age. Come on. So let's get back to this. We just squirreled the hell out of ourselves.
Okay, sorry.
Currency documents. Let me zoom in a little bit on this so you guys can see this a little bit better. Some of this stuff is just talking about who they make printed to. So again, let's just go through this. Let's read the document and talk about what's going on. The Secretary of the Treasury shall engrave and print United States currency and bonds. The BEP, this is establishing the BEP and governing the guidelines. We've talked about this a number of times when we talked about the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. That's what the BEP stands for. It is not the Mint. Richmond dime. Come on, some of you got that link, and if not, go to my site and search up Richmond dime. Anyway, or don't. Yeah. Come on, we have to let that live. The Secretary of the Treasury may produce currency, postage stamps, and other security documents for foreign governments. If they're allowed to do security documents, they're also allowed to coordinate the signature on those documents. I want you to think about this. Okay, the Secretary of the Treasury determines that such production will not interfere in the graving and printing needs of the United States, and the Secretary of the Treasury determines that such production be consistent with the foreign policy of the United States. Nothing about the who signs it. In fact, it actually gives them here, if they have to get security documents for the government, it means that they are responsible for the coordination and signature block of said person. This is a requirement. You want to know where that requirement is or how to do it? Paula, United States Air Force, Hung and Quill, right? We have documents listed for all of that stuff that tell you exactly what needs to be done, what the coordination needs to be done. Doesn't matter if you're the Department of State, doesn't matter with your FBI, CIA, it doesn't matter if you're a legislative aide. Anytime a letter or something is done, you have to address it accordingly. So this is all part of that process. This is just part of the administrative process. B, the United States currency has the inscription "In God We Trust." And guess what? He can put it wherever the heck he wants to. It doesn't matter. Only the portrait of a deceased individual may appear on the United States coin and currencies. Hello. Why can't President Trump's picture be on the dollar bill? Because it says so in law. It says nothing about his signature, nothing about the signature, nothing about him signing as POTUS. Now, remember, POTUS is President of the United States, by the way, POTUS. So this doesn't say anything about signature. Paula, Eric, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
It's spelled out right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I would say it's illegal.
Of course,
I don't know why people care that much about it.
Okay,
$100 bills are still going to spend.
Fact.
That's the whole thing.
Yep.
That's exactly I said when we were having our little discussion, that how many people in chat have ever cared about the signatures on your currency?
So people do, the collectors, we'll talk about those in a minute. But there are very collectible notes.
Well, that one. Yeah. And like I said, there are certain circumstances, courtesy signatures, things like that one we're going to talk about.
Yep.
But in general, people don't care about the signatures on well, the Luther, yeah, that's one we're going to talk about. But in general, people don't care about whose signature is on their money.
Right. The only reason is because there's a lot of people who just dislike this person, and that's fine. And that's, again, President or Precedent. It's and that's, again, that's your opinion. That's fine, no problem. If you like it, that's your opinion, no problem. But those are opinions. They're not truths. They're opinions. And again, I'm going to leave my opinion outside because I don't want to do that. Why do we have laws about it? Well, there are certain laws about it because of respect to historical precedent, right? And so if we talk about coins, so let's talk about a law that bases it off of historical precedent and the fact that they built into the coin law the fact that on the presidential $1 coins, which originally was the coin that they were talking about having him on, they said you cannot do that. 2005, there was appropriation. And Paula, what did that say?
It said that that is specifically for the presidential coin program. I said that you cannot have a living president. They have to have been dead for two years or more. And then it takes, like you said, a whole year to get it even accomplished. But that is the only thing it's specifically for the presidential coin program. That's why it was in 2005, because the program started in 2007.
Yeah, because of the appropriation and all the other stuff has to go on, right?
Right.
So
we have
Right, and we're going to go there, Mike. He's like, I disagree with both of you, and I know exactly where that's going to go. Yes, there are, but again, the whole term of precedent, right? It's not the president, folks. It's precedent. It's happened before. We've had these things on there. And guess what? Back in that time, they may or may not have been politically charged as well. Maybe it was remembering something that somebody did, like we talk about with the commemorative coin series. But what's the whole premise? That's the precedent. That's right. That is a precedent. And so what is the whole purpose of Trump wanting to be a part of this? Well, I'll tell you what we believe. Okay? We talked about this before, Eric, right? What do we believe?
Well, I believe he just wants to be on a coin.
He's excited.
Vanity.
What is this? Well, okay, but what is this year?
Oh, it's the 250th, sesquicentennial.
Who the hell doesn't want to be associated with that? I mean, come on. This is a big freaking deal for our nation, folks. This is historic. It's the 250th celebration of the Declaration of Independence. It's something that as a nation, he's the freaking leader of the nation at the semi-quincentennial. He's excited about this, and I really believe yes, vanity may play a part
well,
of it.
not just that, but
there's nothing wrong with vanity.
In 1926, in the sesquicentennial, Coolidge was on the coin, the commemorative coin. So that was for the sesquicentennial, 1926. Now we're doing the semi-quincentennial. It's appropriate, in my opinion.
It's precedent. It's happened before. And so, yes, I understand that there's a very politically charged tinderbox that we're in our nation right now, and I understand that. But again, this is not political. This is precedent. This is why I asked that question in the beginning, right? Looking at what's there now. You guys know we're going to go ahead and move on to the next thing, because again, we're going to be talking a little bit of opinion here and there, but it's opinion. It's not politics. It's opinion. So we've gone through this. We can look through the rest of these. Again, all of these links will be provided to you in the description down below. Okay. But again, my personal belief is that as the leader of the United States, like it or not, he wants to be associated with the 250th anniversary. I think anyone would be amiss if anyone else were to say the same thing. It doesn't matter who it would have been if they were alive. This guy just is very disliked in many ways. That's my opinion. It's not a legality issue. Now, a lot of people say, you go ahead, please.
And I pose and this is a real dumb caveat question. Are they going to take, he likes to sign things in Sharpie. Are they going to take a Sharpie signature and reduce it and put it on the bill?
I think so.
Or are they going to make him sign it in a pen?
I believe, hold on. Let me find out, because I believe there's very specific requirements for a signature.
He signs nothing with a pen. He signs with Sharpies.
I'll have to find out, because I don't. There's legal requirements for that. I'll have to look and see.
So much so that the government didn't like him signing with the Sharpie, so they went to the Sharpie manufacturer and they make presidential Sharpies now.
One thing is certain: it won't be an auto pen.
Yeah,
it certainly will not be an auto pen. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely can shrink it. I'm just curious, because he signs nothing with a pen.
But I don't know the answer. But I definitely will look up. I'll look up the bill appropriation, and I will get. Actually, what we'll do? We'll do that here in a little bit. I want to finish this topic, but please keep that in mind. No. But the thing is that this is where discovery is good, right? Being able to ask the questions and try to find things. That is that's important, but it doesn't matter if it's a specific bill or not. There are still laws based off of the fundamental, and the fundamental is this document right here. This is the one that appropriates gold to gold backs. This is the document, the actual document. And for those of you who are trying to figure out where I came up with this is something that I want to teach you guys. So again, I tell you, whenever you're looking at this this situation, whenever you're looking at trying to identify if something is real or good or true, doesn't matter if you're trying to identify in a counterfeit coin, doesn't matter if you're trying to look at authenticity, doesn't matter if you're trying to do some research to determine whether you believe something is right, wrong, legal, illegal, go to the various sources. Go find those things, search your documents. There's a really cool place to go to. It's the U.S. Capitol Visitor Center. And a lot of people are like, why in the hell would you go there? Well, who are they tied with? They're actually tied with the National Archives. And the National Archives has a little thing built inside. They've pulled the same type of documentation over. You can actually look for artifacts. So if you know what the artifact is that you're looking for, you can look at the time period. You can talk about the type. There's a whole bunch of things that you can look for. So if you're wanting to do a deep dive into information and you're really trying to identify and find whether or not something is true or something that is being said is taken out of context, go to the original documents, look at them, read them. Some of them are very difficult because they're written in a foreign language. Those of us who are old know that foreign language as cursive. Come on, you guys, that was funny. You guys missed that? Yeah, so a lot of the documents are written in cursive, right? So that was supposed to be funny. I don't think anybody
Here, I just Googled it. There's no law prohibiting him from signing with a Sharpie, and there's actually no law prohibiting any government official from using an auto pen.
Okay. Anyway, thank you.
But they can use Sharpies. So he can use a Sharpie, so he probably will, and they'll probably reduce it.
Was it done on an executive order?
I don't know. It's through CNN. It's got to be true, right?
Sorry.
Well, you know.
Of course it's true.
Let's see. I'm just looking. Department of Justice. Physical signature via Sharpie or other pen is common.
Nice.
President does not need to even personally sign a bill or law.
Well, yeah, but that's the auto signature.
That's a bill.
But,
that's not.
Yeah.
To sign. So anything. Well, it just says up here, it's legal for a president to sign laws or other government matters with a Sharpie, as there's no specific legal requirements requiring any type of pen to be used, any specific ink color, or any writing instrument that must be used. President is noted for using custom Sharpies. There you go. And his defense for getting custom Sharpies was he was giving 30 pens away and people were kind of disappointed in getting a Sharpie. So they got special Sharpies that say President of the United States on them now.
I wondered about that before.
Yeah.
And I don't remember seeing him. Too.
Department of Justice, CNN, actually a lot of AP, New York Times, a lot of people are saying that there's no law against it.
Are you deep in research, Frostbyte?
I am.
No, Eric is. I'm just waiting.
Nope, I'm good. That's it. I mean, he can use a Sharpie. And it doesn't even have to be black, which is weird. I wonder if they'll let him use a red Sharpie.
Well, it would come out black on the currency anyway.
That's fact, because there are color requirements. Yeah, there are very specific color requirements. Certain things have to be done in a certain color. There's a very specific tonal thing that has to be happen. That is requirement.
There you go.
And this is why I wanted to go through and actually find the exact appropriation. But we'll talk about that later. I want to get back to this. So again, this is the U.S. Capitol. These things are tied in. So if you want to know the fact, you can actually read it. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to read this. Okay. Now I want you to look at this. There's these little caret things. That means they did an insertion, right? Because the wording wasn't there. They didn't want to rewrite the whole thing. So they did what's called an insertion. And so to authorize the issue of the United States notes and for the redemption on the funding thereof, and for the funding of the floating. There's going to be people turning over in their graves for this language.
Floating roof.
Well, yeah. Well,
Oh, no.
the floating of the national debt is basically what it's saying is, this document is admitting that they're floating a loan, they're floating debt. That's exactly what this states. So this is a big issue for other people who are against the Fed running this, because this is a statement that happened after that time frame, and way before 1913. So again, that whole process was long beforehand. We won't go there. But it enacted by the Senate and the House, the Representatives, by the United States of America, Congress assemble, that made temporary purposes the Secretary of the Treasury and is hereby authorized to, I don't know what that is, the credit of the United States. What is that? I can't read what the issue on the credit of the United States. 100 millions of dollars in United States notes, and bearing it not payable at the Treasury, or establish payment at the Treasury of the United States for the appointment of blah, 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 blah. So anyway, it's right there. It doesn't talk about signatures. It doesn't talk about the design elements. It doesn't talk about anything. It just basically states that, hey, we're going to be issuing notes. That's what that is. This was the development of the basically the notes that we have, the fiat currency. This was the establishment of that. But it has nothing to do with the signature. It has nothing to do that only certain people can sign. This one was just the fact that they were developing tender, and not promissory notes, right? And so this is where they were looking at that. This took this a next step, all the way back in 1964 and 1974, where again we took silver out. We changed them from tender to promissory notes, right? So this is the start of all of that. So this is the main document. So again, if I were to put these in precedent, it goes the Legal Tender Act, then it goes the U.S. Code, and then the secondary code that comes out later on and talks about counterfeiting and protection. So I showed these backwards, and I showed these backwards in for a very specific reason, and the reason was to build. Google Chrome, buy something now. Yes, is to build the precedent for this. Okay, now Luther, you mentioned this earlier. Let's talk about this real quick. What is this?
Mr. Carter, Mr. Carter. Ooh, ooh.
Okay, I'm just going to give chat a little while. Tell me what this is. Now, there's a big, giant clue on it, by the way. It says in the upper left-hand corner exactly what it is. This is a bar note. And if you have a 1963 B series bar note, these are highly collectible. The better the condition they're in, the more money they go for. And so when we talk about the collectability of signatures, there is also a precedent for that. There are people, this thing, I should have just shared this particular item. The share screen thing stinks. There is a precedent of having signature on there, and they are collectible. So the question is this going to be maintained as collectible? Not this particular note, but when Trump puts his stuff on there. We'll see. As Paula said earlier, a lot of people don't even know these things exist. They're a very specific collectible item. Not every. I'm a numismatist. I don't collect these. I know about them, but I don't collect them. Hell, when we were talking about this at the beginning, I didn't even know what the name of the guy was. I could not remember, right? And so it's just, oh, okay. So Azure and I were talking, that's ironic, really. Azure and I were talking yesterday, and he was saying that he sold a bunch of, he could not remember what they were. And then later on found out what they were and was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? What did I do? But yeah, so he had a bunch of these. and I told him, I said, we need to quit talking about the stuff you've sold. I feel like I'm going to throw up. It's a joke. But yeah, so again, these are the Barr notes. But here's the thing. Who was Joseph Barr? Well, let's go find out. So where do we go? We go to the Library of Congress. We go to the United States Congress. We look at the history and we find out that he was a representative from Indiana and that he did all of this stuff. And they were doing the 60s election and it didn't happen. So what happened? Well, he went to become the Secretary of the Treasury. Well, how long was he the Secretary of the Treasury for?
28 days.
28 days. So his signature was only on the bill for a very short run. Now, there were a bunch of them. However, there was a recycle program that went all the way up until 2024. And if there were these notes in circulation and they were picked up by this reclamation program, then they were got rid of, right? And folks, if you like this stuff, do me a favor, share it out, do all that stuff, right? But the whole premise of today is to kind of talk about precedent, right? They've had these things on there. There are other people that have had signatures on dollar bills before. And again, it's one of these things that this Barr note's a big thing. But people go, oh yeah, well he was a white male in leadership. Of course he's going to have his name on there, right? But let's not go there because I want to bring up this lady.
Yes.
Okay, A.Z. Taylor Morton. This is an amazing lady. Okay, this is absolutely an amazing lady, and one of the things that is important about this is to understand who this lady was and what she did. But if you're a collector, she used to do something that Paula stated earlier. So Paula, you know this lady very, very well. Let's introduce you to A.Z. Taylor Morton. So talk to me a little bit about.
I don't know her very, very well.
I thought you knew a lot about.
Let me tell you why I know about her. Because a bill was posted, a $1 bill, I think it was posted in one of the Facebook groups, and it had a courtesy signature on it. And somebody they were asking if it had any value. And of course, the armchair experts jumped in and said, no, spend it, blah, blah, blah. It's whatever. And so I did a little research and I just posted the link where I found that information about her and that she did these courtesy signatures and that it actually does have value. And I pulled up that exact link that you are looking at right now to do a little bit of research on her.
Yeah. And again, so this lady was brilliant, right? Also served as Secretary of the Treasury. She was the first woman to serve in that particular role. She served for 4 years, and remarkable person. And so, but she used to do something that Ventris Gibson used to do as well. She would sign anything and everything because she liked people to feel like they were included in something. And this was somebody who really was about growing community. And despite all the problems she faced, especially in Texas during that time frame, there's a lot of really neat things. But again, we talk about people through history and some of the amazing things that they've done. First black woman, black woman, not first woman, first black woman. Thank you. I appreciate the correction. You're right.
I think she was the first black person.
Was she Secretary of Treasury?
Secretary of the Treasury, yes.
Oh, who wasn't the treasurer? Never mind.
Yeah.
I would say the first woman treasurer was in like 99 or something like that.
Yeah, no, she was Secretary of the Treasury.
And that was...
no, she was United States Treasurer. She was the first African.
Yes, treasurer from 1977 to 1981.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but here's the thing that I wanted to show you. So we're going to zoom in a little bit on this. This is her signature over here. But this is exactly what Paula was saying. She would actually sign these courtesy
That's
notes
a courtesy. Huh?
with her own hand. Okay.
He
Yeah,
has it
Mike.
there too.
Yeah,
He just
Mike's.
misspoke.
Yeah, I just misspoke. Thanks, Stuart. I appreciate it. But no, clarification is good. Again,
Yeah.
there's a difference between misinformation and misdirection, right? And so this was just, I just spoke incorrectly. I apologize. It's like right there. I just said it wrong. But again, this is the note. And so what she would do is she would take these and people would give these to her and she would sign these and then give them back. And this was just something that was fun. You know, there's another kind of collectible that Paula, you guys have had the guy on a number of times when you talk about things like short snorters.
Short
right?
snorters.
And if you guys don't know what a short snorter is, you need to go over and go to Livecoin Q&A, and in the little search bar, type in short snorter. And you'll find a couple interviews with basically the guy who is the expert. He is the man. What's his name?
Tom Sparks, I think.
Tom Sparks. They done a couple great interviews. And it's one of those where if you want to learn anything about short snorters and the history of them and, you know, the military and the whole precedent and why people did this, and it was originating around pilots, and then it, you know, again, it just picked up. There was a huge thing, massive famous people. Some of them are extremely expensive. But these kind of things are not uncommon. And so people are like, well, that's their actual signature. Well, that's their actual signature. Why wouldn't Trump do this exact same thing? I mean, if he's thinking about this for the semi-quincentennial, I can 100% see him doing the same thing and writing that freaking thing over the entirety of the note, right? There's precedents of this. These are things that have happened, and people's names have been on there. They are collectible. And because of the year, again, I can see why people might want to do this. But remember, it is the 250th anniversary. But again, go look at some of the things because, you know, I'm not really going to show anymore. The last one was just my searches when I was trying to pull up this stuff. But there's a lot of information about this. There's a lot of stuff that you can learn by not necessarily not being opinionated or having an idea, but taking time to go to the sources and look at some of the information and say, hey, here's where we are. This is what I see. This is what's going on. This is what I'm recognizing. And make your own determination. But base it off of facts. Base it off of the details. Don't read into the document. Read the document. And what I promised to do on the channel, I promised to have people on the channel who are here to grow and help you. I promised to give you the information that I can do as best I can with researching, but I'm also going to teach you how to use the tools we have. Eric says his head hurts. I'm going to blame that on allergies.
Well, I just did a Google who was the first woman treasurer because I had already Googled it and it got a different answer. I've got 3 different answers in 3 different Googles using the same question.
And this is why Google isn't always your friend.
It said
Ivy Baker Priest.
She was the first treasurer.
I didn't get her. I got Rosario Morin and Janet Yellen. That's only 4 years ago.
Yeah, but this is why AI, Google, whatever.
That wasn't even AI. That was just what Google decided that I wanted to see.
So remember that the way it's not by level of integrity and it's not by level of accuracy. It's by how well they built their meta tags on how they show up in this sort order by Google.
Here's another one.
Okay.
The first woman treasurer, Georgia Nisi Clark, 1949.
Treasurer or treasurer secretary?
Treasurer of the United States from 1949 to 1953. First woman to hold the office.
Yeah, and this is where the conversation was the first black woman, right? That's where the misspoke happened. Yeah,
I'm
she
going
wasn't the
by
first
what Mike
treasurer.
said.
Yeah.
Mike
I
said,
believe it. That's what I'm
Mike
saying.
said
Just
Ivy
don't
Baker
Google it and
Priest was
depend
the
on it.
first woman.
Yeah, just don't Google it and depend on it to be what you think, or don't at least don't fight over it without digging deeper.
Yeah, I would lean towards listening to Mike. He's a pretty storied historian, and if you know the people he works with, that's all those guys talk about.
And 53 to 61.
They quite literally just talk about history. So
She was.
if it's numismatic, I would lean towards that.
Who was 53 to 61?
Ivy Baker Priest.
Yeah, this one is 49 to 53. That's Georgia Nisi Clark.
Treasurer of the United States?
Treasurer of she was the 29th Treasurer of the United States.
Luther's picking on Mike.
And the funny thing is Wikipedia, when you go to the Wikipedia forum, they all say that they are the first women to hold office.
And who was that?
This is Georgia Nisi Clark.
I have to look this up now. I'm on a rabbit hole.
49 to 53. And Mike said
Janet Yellen. Are you talking about Janet Yellen?
It definitely wasn't Janet Yellen.
No, but again, this is why
she was before.
No, but what I'm trying to say is this is why you cannot trust AI chat. You can't, because when I just type this in,
Eric's right.
Yeah, Eric. Okay, Eric is right. Okay.
Yeah,
done.
Eric is right.
Nicely done, sir.
When I said my head hurt, it was just because I'm searching this and I'm like, oh no, I don't believe this, and all of a sudden different answers start.
Georgia Nisi Clark.
So I'm going to show you guys something, and again, this is what I'm very careful. This is the AI overview, right? This is an exact reason. Do not use AI to get your answers. We have a good friend that I had to remove yesterday because of the highly opinionated nature, who likes to do this. And I said, stop, because your information usually is wrong. Janet Yellen is not the first. It does say that she's the first person, but it's not even close. So I want you guys to remember that these things are not 100% accurate. If you're going to utilize this, you need to be very clear about what your prompt is, and you need to understand that this one night. All
right, Yellen was Secretary of the Treasury. It says right in the bottom, it says it's important to distinguish the Secretary of Treasury as a cabinet level.
Yeah.
Well, but what I'm saying is this is why prompts matter. You can't just generally use AI. It will give you information, but it's not necessarily what you're asking for.
Right.
It may be a piece of the information or a subset of the information or a subdivision of the information. You don't have it. And so if you don't know that information, there is nothing to get you to believe that that is not correct.
Yeah.
So be careful using AI as your default. Go down here a little bit, okay, and you'll see that, right, all of these associations, every one of these are wrong. Because I didn't ask, I said to hold the Treasury. It's listing Secretary of the Treasury. My prompt is bad. Right? So this prompt does not get to the answer I want to get to. If I want to get a prompt, I'm going to say, who was the first woman to hold the office as the Treasurer of the United States? This is a good prompt because what I'm asking it is something that is very, very specific. Again, and not to hold.
Dunning-Kruger effect. Oh,
okay.
Boy.
And so what I want to do is I want to pull this in and actually pull this up. Now, when I type in a proper prompt, when I ask a good question, I'm going to get good answers. But the problem with doing this with coins, and I'm going to deviate to the coin thing again really quick because, again, coin channel. when you're doing this with coins and you're trying to figure something out, if you don't necessarily know the language, you don't necessarily know what it's named, you're going to get information, but that information is probably not correct based off of the information that you asked it. If you're going to utilize AI, you had better learn how to write an accurate statement or an accurate prompt to yield correct information.
And it gets into pages deep, because I have a friend that is doing a lot of work with an AI right now, and he says he says you have no idea how specific you have to be.
You have to be extremely specific. Yeah. I teach, so I don't teach it, but I teach my local team at work, and we talk about the fact that if you want to write a prompt, you need to know exactly what's going on. So for instance, if I want to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, everybody thinks that's a very easy task. I want you guys, without writing it down, and I want you to tell somebody, do whatever it is, quite literally, not what you know to do to make a sandwich, but actually write this script out to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It is a royal pain in the butt. It is multiple pages. Because when you start to do this, the questions have to come, what happens if you have no bread in the home? What other item are you able to use? Do you have to go to the store? Do you have to make sure you have money in your account? It becomes very specific. So you have to say, I already have all the ingredients at my disposal. I do not have to go to the store. It's not money. I have a counter to do that. Everything is ready. I want to begin with the actual making of the sandwich. Take me from this point to the end. Walk through each additional step. I want to know exactly what's going on. Do I have to hold the bread in my hand? Do I have to put it on the plate? Writing a true AI script to get 100% accurate information is very difficult. It's very difficult.
That's one of the biggest problems with people trying to get coin information and AI answers coming up, because to get accurate coin information, you have to know accurate terminology. And new people don't know coin terminology, and they're researching what is, I have a bubble on my coin. What is, and they get all kinds of wrong information because AI doesn't have a clue what they're asking about.
Or it has 5,000 clues and it just decides to pick one.
It picked one. So AI is just if you Google something about coins and you see that AI overview that comes up, first thing that comes up on your Google search, scroll right past that.
Well, but again, so even if I go back to this original prompt that I'm still sharing the screen.
If you scroll down, it's using those sites for information.
Every one of them is wrong. Right. And so it doesn't matter if it's just the AI prompt. Every one of these is wrong. Every one of them gives the wrong information. And so it's because I wasn't clear in the question, right? Yeah, well, Luther, I'm not going to do that on here. But there's way more information out there that you know. So I do want to say something. And this is something that we talk about, misinformation versus disinformation. And I want to be very clear on something. None of us are infallible. None of us.
Nope.
We all make mistakes. We all say things and do things. And 3 or 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, we were doing a thing. I was talking about ASEs, and I was like, I don't think this one's real. And everybody was yelling at me because it was like in a very rare error. I had no idea. I felt like a complete and utter idiot because I was like, I think this thing's fake. It doesn't match. It's not the right thing. And they're like, oh, no, that is a very real coin, and it's extremely valuable. And if you find one, go after it. But they're opportunities to learn. And we also forget, Mike in the chat earlier said, "Oh my God, I forgot. I'm so sorry." Hey, it's not a big deal. Yeah, here's the thing. The road to knowledge has a bunch of stumbles. Yeah. We're going to fumble. We're going to fall. And it's not how many times we stumble. It's not how many times we trip. It's not how many times that mistakes are made. It's, did you learn something from the mistake? And did you stand up and dust yourself off and try again? It's not a failure until you quit.
We were talking about, I've been passing on bad information for years.
Me too.
Yep. And, she was calling the penny not clad.
Yeah, right.
No. I'm just saying, I still think there's a thing in that listing that says that.
I've been saying that the 1969D FS 901 no FG was delisted as a cherry picker's variety, and it absolutely is not. It was just moved to the back of the book.
Now, does it just say 69D, or does it say 69D S 70 PD and S all on it now?
No, it's always only been the 69D FS 901.
And you read the whole page, and it didn't have a note that on it that it was all right.
Nope.
Like I say, I was privy to a conversation about that, and
nope. I had to eat crow, and now I am, as much as I despise the variety and I think it's a big nothing burger, it still is a listed cherry pickers variety that can be sent off to PCGS and NGC and recognized as the FS 901 no FG. Now, the floating roof is a big nothing burger. That has absolutely nothing to do with anything, and it was simply a something that somebody who wanted to sell them as something decided to separate it from the no FG and sell it, and yuck. Yeah, I had to, Luther. I needed to find out exactly the true skinny on it so that I was no longer passing on that bad information. Because like I said, as much as I think it is a nothing, it is something.
Paula, can you pull that up and show people what you're referencing so that they can get a visual for it?
Then you want me to pull up the actual no FG?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, I will. But now we're going to get into
whether it's a real no FG or not a real.
Yeah, we're going to get into the weeds here.
Well, no, it's not necessarily getting into the weeds, but again, as we identify and talk about these things, I want people to have kind of some sort of visual example. We're not going to dig into this. There's not a right or wrong thing. The reference that was being made was that we all make mistakes and things happen, and we talk necessarily not about what's wrong. It's just maybe we missed an article, maybe we missed the memo. The skinny, yeah, something I haven't heard for a long time. Something I haven't seen for a long time, but I'm working on that again too.
It won't let me pull this up. Is something wrong with the website? Oh,
wonder if somebody closed the topic.
No, I'm trying to get into CoinFacts. I'm trying to get into Type 3 Memorial versus Copper 1959 to 1982. Won't let me pull it up. Hang on. 1969D FS 901.
Hey, what's up, David James? How you doing, bud? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Okay. Thank you for joining us from the UK. I appreciate it.
Let me share my screen.
So, David James, just to catch you up, all the information that we used today was basically U.S. law, Code of Federal Regulations, looking at stuff like that, talking about some history. All the link will be in the description if you want to go back and look at it. I'll give you all the stuff later on.
Okay, I pulled it up. It's down there.
Okay, so go ahead and walk through this. Take 5 or 6 minutes to go ahead and do that. This one, and let's add this one, and go ahead and walk through this one.
Okay, what do you want me to walk through? So this is the 1969 D no FG FS 901.
Yeah,
And
so
I have been
just talk
saying,
about why it's listed or what it was listed for, and then kind of break it down.
okay, so as you can see right there on the right side of the bottom of the memorial, the FG initials are missing. This was first listed in the cherry pickers, I think probably in like, I don't know, volume 3 maybe, or 3rd edition. I'm not sure which edition it was originally listed as, but Breen and JT Stanton thought it was cool and it was a popular thing, and so they listed it. It has since been not delisted, but moved as a primary listing to the index. I guess I don't know if it's called the index, but in the back where they list, other cherry pickers varieties that aren't in the main text of the book. At some point, I read somewhere that it was no longer a recognized listing. Well, that is not true. You can still send in your 1969 no FG and have it attributed. Here's the rub. It's a crapshoot. It's playing roulette because PCGS and NGC can't decide which ones they want to attribute and which ones they want to send back unattributed. There's no rhyme or reason to what, as far as I know. And the reason I say that is because a couple people that are known as variety people have sent multiple examples of these in. Some get attributed and some don't. But I will no longer be telling people, and the floating roof is up here, right? And it's often found with the no FGs. All that is an over-braided die where there's been a die clash or some imperfection on the die that they decided to stone the die or abrade the die to try to remove that imperfection. And in the process, these low-lying areas get removed from the die. These areas are very low relief, low relief, and so they're close to the field, so they get completely obliterated. It's not always. You can see on this example, there's a little bit of it left. A little bit of it left there. But on this example that have my circle around, there's a tiny bit. You can definitely see the FG remaining there. So anyway, it's kind of just a crapshoot. You will no longer be seeing me tell people that it has been delisted, and I hope that you guys also, if you're passing on the information, will not pass that on anymore either. Eric also was under the impression.
Did you read Ken Potter's response to that? You said it's in the appendix in the back of the book, right?
No, Ken Potter's response is in my post on his group.
Right, I'm looking at it right now, and he says if the listing is in the appendix of the book, it's been delisted.
No.
That's not what he said?
It has not been delisted.
I'm just saying.
I just showed you the listing. I
Right.
just showed you.
You said it was in the appendix in the back of the book.
It's in the back of the book.
It says, okay, this is how it works. Cherry picker varieties that are legitimate but are delisted from the main listings are moved to the back of
delisted from the main listings. That does not mean it has been delisted as a variety.
That means that the Cherry Picker's Guide in general is washing their hands of it, though.
Yes. But it is still a variety, regardless.
You can get listed. All right.
Yes.
So the information
it is also a variety plus listing. It is also, you can get it listed by NGC and PCGS.
Right. So the information we gave wasn't wrong. It was just incomplete.
Yes.
And again, it's not disinformation. It's just a clarification of specifics. Mm-hmm. And these things this is why we have conversation. This is why we talk about these things, right? We want to make sure that we understand, and through research and as we look at stuff, we begin to understand more. There's a lot of people, and I look at this and go, okay, it's a floating roof. I get it. I can understand why somebody may want to get that. But I look at the no FG on the $50, and I'm like, it's very specific. There cannot be any hint of it there. Why is this one not that specific? It should follow the same general guidelines. But this is where it's objective, and so when you're grading, it's opinion, but they should have a little bit tighter stringency.
They absolutely should.
Right. And so these are not things that that are problematic, but these are discussions that we have all the time. What matters? What's good? What's not? Why is that here? And you're going to hear people who are very, very smart on these topics who just don't agree. They just don't see eye to eye.
Mm-hmm. Yep, all the time.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with anything being right or wrong. It's just they don't see it the same, and so it's okay. But this is where discussion is important. This is why it's important to sit down and go through things and look at this stuff and have these conversations. One reason that I had Paula walk through this is I didn't want you guys to go, oh, Paula had no idea what she was talking about. I wanted you guys to see exactly what's going on. Hold on, I got to time out Pedro.
And I'm telling you, if you spend any time in these Facebook groups, you will see that same narrative repeated over and over and over by people who know what they're talking about. Because the context is confusing when you read about it. Like Eric said, it said, like Ken Potter said, it says if it is delisted, if it is not in the main
section for the coins,
in the main section in the back, then it has been delisted, but it not as a variety.
Yeah, the listing stands still. It's just not an active listing.
Exactly.
That's basically what he's saying.
Exactly. So when people say that it has been delisted, that is not necessarily wrong, but when you read delisted, you think automatically it is no longer a recognized variety, and that is not the case.
The CPG started this with items that were low interest, move it to a page of their own into an appendix to make room for new listings that were of higher interest.
The funny thing is that is not low interest. That is actually one of the higher interest.
The problem is it's on 5 different.
It's common. Yes.
Yeah, very common. It's on 69S, 69D, 70P, D, and S.
Extremely common.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I probably can go get a roll of 69S and half the coins will be like that. Mm-hmm. 69D also.
And I would wager a bet to say that they probably, because they changed the master hubs from 68 to 69, the design changed. Same with the 82 large and small date, the design changed. So they were playing around with the pressures and the presses, and they probably had a lot of clashing and a lot of problems at first in the beginning with the 69.
That and the dies were holding slag or something, because it seems like they're always polished real heavily.
Yep, something. And I'm sure it had to do with the design change from 68 to 69.
Because it was changed again in 71.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, 69Ps don't get it. They're always pretty well struck coins.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because the dies were all made in Philadelphia. So,
hey, do you know why Philadelphia? Sorry,
maybe it had to do with them putting the mint mark, the Denver mint mark on. I don't know, but
do you know why Philadelphia didn't put the mint mark on pennies? The mint director thought it was bad for them to pee on coins.
Right. I knew it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, come on. That's funny.
Oh, come on. That was funny.
What does Larry the Cable Guy say? I don't care. That's funny right there.
I don't care who you are. That was funny, right?
Yeah, that's I love that guy. Well, hey, folks, again, we deviated way off topic, and this is just
Good. I'm glad we did.
Welcome to Sunday. But again, the whole premise of today, the whole topic today, and I haven't looked at the views. I don't know how many people were in chat. I haven't looked at any of that. I don't care. The intent today was not to get political. The intent today was to have general conversation, show you guys the information, let you guys decide, make up your own minds. And I want to thank you all. Genuinely.
Cherry pick things from what they read, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I want to thank you all. And the reason that I want to thank you all is because I asked you guys to do something. You guys rolled with it. And yes, opinion's good, and you can do opinion, and discussion is fine. I don't mind discussion. What I want,
disagree.
Yep, and we can agree to disagree. But what I want to see, still
can be friends too.
We're grown-ups.
Yeah, I want to see the discussion, right? And that is something. But I also want you guys to look at something that was a little less obvious. It was very intentional. And we all derailed it. It's okay.
Right.
It happens. That's welcome to Sunday. It doesn't matter. My Saturday is the more educational, I want to stay on topic kind of day. Sunday's just whatever. I didn't know I was doing this until midnight last night. Oh, I can't time you out anymore because I just gave you managing moderator.
If we learn one thing per day, one new thing per day, in my mind, that is a win.
Agree.
Yeah. Well, you know what my saying is, if you quit learning, you probably quit breathing.
On Sundays, every Sunday, I learn at least one new thing every Sunday.
Yep, and it's Palm Sunday.
And usually
that is true.
Saturdays too.
So the hidden underlying message for today, there was one. And I'm going to end with a little bit of commentary. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes before you get over to Coin Show Podcast. But go check out you guys are doing this today, Mike, right? I did not forward it automatically. I tried to fix that afterwards, but I don't think I can once it's live. But the underlying premise today, hold just a sec. Let me see.
Coin Show Podcast. No Coin Show Podcast today.
No Coin Show. Okay, podcast. So this is why I couldn't find it. Outstanding. Okay, good. So, but I am going to end a little bit early. But I want to end on this commentary. I want to say something. Oh, Matt's sick. Well, I guess we're not talking mental. It's physical. Just kidding. Wish him well for us, please. I'd appreciate it.
Bummer.
But here's the underlying thing, and I'm going to end with this. Today had the potential to be in a significant political battle. It could have been extremely wrought with frustration, anger, and maybe even hate.
Aww.
But we had a semi non-confrontational, a semi non-political, political discussion. We talked about laws. We talked about Code of Federal Regulation. We talked about the original intent. We showed you some collectible notes. The courtesy note from Azzy Taylor. And again, Azzy Taylor Morton, if you don't know that story, go check it out. It's a really cool story. Matter of fact, you know what? Next Saturday, I think that's what I'm going to do. It's an amazing story. But the whole purpose behind today is you can have a politically based discussion without it becoming political. That was the whole intent for today, is to talk about a topic, not the politics of it, not get angry, not get mad, just a generalized discussion. That was the intent for today. And I want to thank you all for doing that. Paula and Eric, thank you so much for joining me today and for talking with me on this topic.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Paula. Yep. But
Thanks
remember,
for the
folks.
facility, everybody.
Have a blessed Sunday, everybody. Be safe.
Y'all be good.
See you guys next week.
Take care, you guys. And again, folks, right? Conversation is conversation. I've talked in the last few days about what are the greatest mistakes we make as coin collectors. Had a little bit of discussion of what are the barriers to our health? What are the barriers to our financial wealth? What are the barriers to these things? And folks, it's us. We have the choice. We get to make a decision on what we choose, whether we choose grace and humility or whether we choose to stand and fight, to argue. But it all begins with a discussion. The discussion is what matters. It's what's important. It's the only thing that's going to bring us together. It is 2026, the semi-quincentennial, the 250th anniversary. Go watch my 50th or my 50 cent, the commemorative coin series. There's a ton of history. And many of the coins celebrated their centennials, their bicentennials, their tercentenaries, and their semi-quincentennials. Go listen to those. Go watch those. There's a lot of great coin information. And who knows? Maybe next Saturday you're going to hear more about a Z. Taylor Morton. Folks, take care of yourselves. Be well, be blessed. Happy Palm Sunday. Celebrate the reason for the day. Take care of yourselves. Stay out of trouble. And as Ida Herring says, don't get any trouble that we can't bail you out of. Take care, folks. Love you.